What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Nuggets Today, brought to you by Fan Arts. My name is Tom Leuthner, and we're officially sponsored by Underdog, so make sure you use this QR code right here. Always got to make sure I'm pointing at the right side right here to download the app. I will have a promo code for you guys in a little while, so make sure to stand by for that. A couple things I want to talk about in this late night, for me at least, game yesterday in Milwaukee, and huge win. You definitely saw the inexperience from this Denver Nuggets team. Um, and the first thing I want to get into before we even get into any of that is Giannis Antetokounmpo. And listen, he dominated from the free throw line. And I don't know what's going on with him, and I think that there's more than what's being said. He had 14 free throws made, 16 attempted. So that's where majority of his 22 points came from. He took 8 total shots in this game and then ends up going down with an injury, which is just unfortunate because he's dealing with, I believe it was the same leg. It looked like a calf injury on his right leg, which I believe is the same leg that he was dealing with earlier on in the season. So that's definitely a brutal loss for this Bucks team, who's already the 11th team in the Eastern Conference, especially because they're trying to hold on to him. And I don't know what it really was about him, but even if it was an injury early in the game, I think that he was still going through something that made him pass the ball more than shoot. I think that he's trying to just build this confidence in this roster in order for him to, I guess, have a better opportunity to make the playoffs. I know that the Bucks wanted to go all in on being buyers at the deadline in order to please Giannis, and I don't see that happening right now. Just because one, he just got injured, and two, I don't think that he wants to be there. His body language sort of showed it. Like I said, this is like the second game in a row that he's taken under 15 shots, which is almost, you never see that from a superstar in this league. And maybe Jokic, you'll see it here and there, but that's if Jokic is playing like the Wizards. This was also a game that the Denver Nuggets were missing their entire starting five, as well as the sixth starter in Peyton Watson. So a game they should have won. Like I said, I'll get to that in a little bit, but something was definitely up with Giannis. And then obviously he goes down earlier on, or later on rather, with an injury. But talking about an injury that happened earlier on, the Denver Nuggets have to look at and reassess Aaron Gordon, as he has a right hamstring injury, which is what he's been continuously dealing with now for the beginning of this season, the end of last season. Played 16 minutes, and in those 16 minutes, he was great. 13, 6, and 3, 4 for 9 from the field, 2 steals, 1 turnover, 2 fouls. He is a guy who has been playing the Jokic role since Jokic has gotten hurt. They're playing him in the inverted PNRs. They're playing him as a guy who's going to pick and pop, playing the top of the key. And I love it. I think it's great. I think that his game has been amazing. He's probably a top 3 player on this team when the team is fully healthy. Payne Watson may be taking that role soon, but and you get into the conversations now of everybody just getting crazy and people saying to trade him, and I don't agree with it. Just I think that you need to sit him for a pretty long time. Not a very long time, but a pretty long time. Let him get back. Make sure Nikola Jokic is back when he is back, because if he's not and he rushes an injury like this and he wants to come back too soon, which I'm not saying he came back too soon, because it seems that he waited a little bit longer than guys like Val and CB, and CB came back at the same time, I guess. But I think it's just let him sit. If Denver's able to hold up this unit, especially with guys like Cam potentially come back soon, if Jokic and Val come back soon, I think it's just time to let him sit for a while. I said the entire season, let him come back for the playoffs as long as Denver's making the playoff push. If they start losing games, then you bring him back if he's ready. But I just don't want to risk it at all, because he is, like I said, probably the third most important player on this entire roster. And I thought that going into the season, he was probably the second, obviously Jokic, but Jamal has taken that crown of being the second most important player, obviously. Now, before we continue on talking about this game very briefly, I do want a quick word from our sponsor. Fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Playing Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000. That's right, 5,000 times your cash. Today I'm going to look at, as rivalry weekend continues on, I'm going to look at one specific game. That specific game being the clash in the Eastern Conference of the Philadelphia 76ers and the New York Knicks. All you have to do is choose higher or lower on points points, rebounds, assists. Like I said, so easy. I love Underdog. I think it's the easiest betting app out there. And I'm going to look at some projections in this game The first projection being Joel Embiid higher than 26.5 points. And I'm going to go 276er picks here, and I'll explain. And then I'm going to go with Tyrese Maxey higher than 27.5 points. Now, I got the chance to talk to Jonathan Macri, head of New York Knicks Film School. Awesome guy. And we were talking about Jalen Brunson. He, and listen, I know this. I'm from New York, so I understand how bad of a defender Jalen Brunson is. But at the same time, like, he broke it down that if you look at the advanced stats, and I'm not the biggest advanced stats guy in the world, he was saying if you look at the advanced stats, Jalen Brunson's easily the worst defensive superstar in the NBA. So that's why I'm going to take Tyrese Maxey. But I also know that Cat's not the best defender in the world, so that's why I'm taking the higher on Joel Embiid, 26.5 points. So like I said, pretty easy. Just choose the higher or lower on whatever projections you guys want to look at. If you download the app today and use promo code BASKETBALLFAN, you score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code BASKETBALLFAN. It is on your screen right now. Underdog, make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus. 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska. 19 plus in Colorado for some games. 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/play and get terms DFSTML for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 helpline at 1-878 or text HOMI 467-369.
Now, when you look at the coaching staffs for both units, the first thing I want to talk about is Doc Rivers. I am not trying to be brutal and anything. I don't want to be disrespectful, I feel like, but Doc Rivers is the worst coach I've ever watched coach a basketball team. And I know it's crazy to say, but now hear me out. He's a guy who is handed every year. I feel like he's handed an amazing team. And I'm not saying that this Bucks team's amazing. They were definitely more talented than the Denver Nuggets team they went up to tonight, but Denver Nuggets were able to pull it out. He has always handed a great roster, and for some reason, he could just never get anything done outside of the Celtics team, which had 4 of the best players that we've ever seen at their positions. He had the Lob City Clippers. Granted, you go up against the Warriors, I know. I think that Doc Rivers is terrible. And, I was talking to a bunch of people in the community before the game, and they made the point. And I said I thought that Giannis was going to dominate, and the Nuggets, were going to have to battle from uphill the entire game. And I was completely wrong because somebody was right, and they said Doc Rivers is the worst coach that they've ever seen. I do agree with him. At this point in his career, maybe not the worst coach ever, but the worst highly regarded coach, I want to say, in probably NBA history. Now, when it comes to this Denver Nuggets coaching staff, the one thing that I didn't really take into consideration much because you don't really think about it is the defensive game plan from Jared Dudley on how to sort of stop Giannis or attempt to stop Giannis, just because he played with him. So he knows how to go about it and how to, like I said, attempt to attack his weak points. And I think that Denver did that, and they, like I said, Giannis was a little weird in this game, but David Adelman as well, just continuing to keep these guys comfortable and confident on both sides of the ball, getting these guys minutes. Curtis Jones got to play some time today. Hunter Tyson came in to play some time. And then the one guy, obviously, that gets a huge start for this Denver Nuggets team and ended up having a great game is Julian Strawther. Like I said, DA was continuing to keep these guys going and letting them get ready, and Julian Strawther dominated. I love it. He's like I think I've said it over the offseason. He's probably one of my favorite players on the Nuggets team. I love his game. I love his quick release. 6 for 13 from the field. It's funny because he seems like such a scorer, but his three-point numbers have dropped drastically, and they've never been super high, but he went 1 for 6 from the three-point line, but he ends with 25 and 3, which is great. Tim Hardaway also had a great game, but I'll probably cover some Tim Hardaway stuff more tomorrow just because of the slump that he was in. But like I said, Julian Strawther 1 for 6 from the three-point line, but 6 for 13 from the field, which is amazing. I mean, he had an amazing game. He was able to get to every spot that he wanted. I think that, majority of his, if not all of his misses were from the three-point line outside of 1 or 2 floaters. But he always gets the shots he wants, and that's the thing I love about Julian Strawther's game. Defensively, he still has some things to work on, but I think that he's probably the guy who's potentially going to be traded if Denver does make a trade. If not him, then Hunter Tyson, even if that's for a second-round pick. But I wouldn't mind keeping Julian Strawther at as the last guy on the bench. I just think that if you're not going to play him at all in these stretches where nobody's playing and everybody's hurt, then I think it's just time to move on from him because I think he's too talented to sit on the end of a bench. But that is all I got for you guys today, Nuggets Nation. I hope that you guys stay safe during the snowstorm if you guys are in the U.S. because it's supposed to be bad from what I'm hearing. And then, again, huge shout-out to Underdog for sponsoring this episode. Like I said, make sure to go ahead, hit that promo code or scan that QR code and use that promo code BasketballFan to score $75 in bonus entries when you use your first $5. So that is all I got for you guys today, Nuggets Nation. Pretty brief episode, but Like I said, I'm on the East Coast, so getting these post-game episodes out is very tough for me sometimes, especially because of the time that the game ended and the time I get the episode done. So I just always want to get some content out for you guys. So huge shout out to Underdog, and thank you guys for watching. If you guys want me to cover anything, let me know down below, and I'll catch you guys next episode.